Right, 9 September 2020, and today I want to quickly talk about the ANC delegation that went to Zimbabwe, and this delegation was a total disaster. They went to Zimbabwe and they promised a lot. They spoke about how much there's a crisis in Zimbabwe, and when they go to Zimbabwe, they promised that they would meet everybody. They would meet the opposition parties and they would talk to them about the situation in Zimbabwe, find out what was truly happening in Zimbabwe. And last night, when Magashule, the ANC Secretary General, arrived at the airport, he said that he was going to meet everybody. He was going to talk to members of the opposition. He was going to be tough on ZANU PF. In the morning, Lindiwe Zulu, the chairperson of the international portfolio in the ANC, she also tweeted that she was going to be there for the people of Zimbabwe, no matter what anybody said. So it was almost as if the ANC was going to go into Zimbabwe and they would change the situation. They would meet everybody. However, in the morning, by 10 o'clock, it was clear that the ANC, they were meeting a lot of resistance from ZANU PF. They were failing to achieve what they'd gone to achieve in Zimbabwe. So the reason why the delegation of 10 people was sent to Zimbabwe was because the first delegation, which had Baleka Mbete and Sydney Mufamandi, failed to meet the opposition. So that was the reason why they were sent to Zimbabwe, to make sure that they meet everyone. But unfortunately, they failed in their mission because the ZANU PF delegation was more prepared. They made sure that the ANC came back with nothing. So everything that the ANC went to achieve in Zimbabwe, they failed to achieve. And what they've actually managed to achieve was to make the ZANU PF position much more clear. So there were a number of key points which were being discussed here, which was, is there a crisis in Zimbabwe? And at the end of the day, ZANU PF managed to convince the ANC that there's a crisis in Zimbabwe, but there's also a crisis in South Africa. And this is what Obert Mpofu said. He said there's a crisis in both countries. And Magashule was unable to say anything to that. In fact, he agreed with that. Then there was also the agreement that the ANC cannot dictate to Zimbabwe. It came out in that statement, in the final joint statement. The ANC cannot dictate to ZANU PF what to do in Zimbabwe. So at the end of the day, the ZANU PF very, very happy with what they've achieved. Then there's issue of what was the very purpose of the delegation, which was to make sure that Magashule talks to Nelson Chamisa, he talks to civic organizations. So people requested to meet. And when Magashule arrived, he actually named the people who had requested to meet him, which is the ambassador of the United States of America, Nelson Chamisa, Simba Makoni, a lot of other people, Zim Rights. These people had asked to meet with him, but ZANU PF told them that they cannot meet these people. So they had prepared 3 days, so which is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, to be in Zimbabwe. Now they are sitting in Zimbabwe until Friday, and they're not going to be talking to these people that they were supposed to talk to. And I want to show you the problem, why the ANC is failing to deal with Zimbabwe. So firstly, let's go to what the president of the ANC, Ramaphosa, said. And I'll play you this clip very, very quickly.
Now proceed, and that our Secretary Generals must facilitate the meeting that should happen as quickly as possible. And as you heard, the National Executive Committee expressed a deep desire that when they get there, they should have an opportunity of meeting other stakeholders in Zimbabwe. And clearly, it is important that we get as broad a view of what is happening in Zimbabwe as we possibly can. Because as you correctly say, we are having to deal with a situation on our borders. The concerns that you articulated, we are continuing to feel them on our border.
Right, so you can see that the objective here is that they need to deal with the issues at the border. That means there's a crisis. Too many Zimbabweans getting into South Africa. South Africans are fed up of Zimbabweans. And this is the issue. It is there. There's a hashtag Zimbabweans must fall. There are many other hashtags against the presence of Zimbabweans in South Africa. And I'll show you what kind of Zimbabweans are a problem in South Africa. So the whole purpose of this visit was that the South Africans wanted to tell the Zimbabweans that the problems in our country is causing us issues. And I want to share again with you a clip here. It was by Lindwe Zulu when she was talking. I want to quickly find that clip last week. So let's see what she said. And let's play that clip.
In the ANC's view, yes, there is a political crisis in Zimbabwe, and we have to be frank and honest about it. If we are to help the situation, we have to be frank and honest about it, because we're asking ourselves the question: where is the dignity in all the Zimbabweans who are here? Where is the dignity in the young women who I see all the time washing cars, running around, some of whom are either teachers?
Right, so you can see that there, she's talking about Zimbabweans. She is saying, where is the dignity of Zimbabweans? They must go back to their country and they need to get their dignity back. So that is Lindwe Zulu there. And let's look again at Naledi Pandor and let's see what she says on the very same issue. So I want to show you a number of people. So let's look at Naledi Pandor there. And I hope that I can quickly find that one there. So there she is.
The full expectation was not met in this first visit. This is something we must continue to work at, because as I say, the situation of Zimbabwe impacts on South Africa. We of course respect the sovereignty of Zimbabwe. It's very important, but we have to continue to engage. There is a reality, as I say. Go to our border posts and see how many Zimbabweans wish to come into South Africa, and mainly.
Right, so I've played for you a number of clips. The one by Cyril Ramaphosa, Lindwe Zulu, and Naledi Pandor. And I can play for you a lot. There's an organization here called the ATF. There's also Herman Mashaba and his new political party. So the situation in South Africa is there is almost between 4 million to 6 million Zimbabweans. And these Zimbabweans, they are keeping this economy afloat. So the economy of South Africa, if you don't have Zimbabweans, the banking sector is going to collapse. That is the guys who are developing a software, the guys who are working at the back, they are Zimbabweans. It's the same for mining sector. It's the same for all these sectors that you have. So Zimbabweans are running this economy. But there's a general sentiment among South Africans that Zimbabweans are taking our jobs. And this is driving politics in South Africa. The elections are going to be coming in 2024. And political parties that are coming up are using illegal immigration as the campaigning. That's what they're campaigning on. And the ANC is feeling the heat. So what the ANC actually wants is for Zimbabweans, illegal Zimbabweans, to leave South Africa and go back to Zimbabwe. They are not concerned about human rights and all those other issues. They are more concerned about their own survival as a political party. So when they went to Zimbabwe, they are going there and talking about human rights, which is the problem, because they are not convinced that there are human rights issues in Zimbabwe. They go there, they are not prepared. So they arrived and they started to talk about things that they are not convinced about. What they should have been doing was to go there with a position of, we want you to take your Zimbabweans that are illegal here in South Africa. We want them out of South Africa. That is what the South Africans should have been doing when they went to Zimbabwe. But when they went there, they started wanting to meet the US ambassador. There's nothing the US ambassador can say about the situation in Zimbabwe, because the situation in Zimbabwe, as bad as it is, it's not at the levels where you would see in other countries. So like in Mozambique, there's people shooting each other and killing each other. In Zimbabwe, the situation is not like that. You had the abduction. So let me give you the abduction that have happened now. You've got the 3 girls that were abducted. You had Tawanda Mchehiwa. You had Job Scala, who is on the run. You had Hopo Chungono. So these are small scale human rights abuses. And when the ANC sends a delegation of 10 for that kind of situation, it's not something that you can, it doesn't hold as much water as them going there and saying the economic crisis here in Zimbabwe is causing us problem in South Africa. So when they went there, they went with the wrong problem, which is why it was very easy for ZANU PF to defeat them. In fact, ZANU PF totally turned the tables on the ANC. When they went there, they could not explain exactly why they had gone to Zimbabwe, especially given that it's a second delegation. What was the purpose of a second delegation which was not communicated by the first? So this is the key point I wanted to make. It was not clear to the ANC why they're going to Zimbabwe. They are hiding behind the human rights abuses. But what they actually want to communicate to Mnangagwa is that we want your people out. But they do not know how to communicate this without sounding xenophobic. Then secondly, in terms of meeting the opposition, they should have made this clear in the beginning before they left South Africa to say, we want to meet the opposition. If we're not supposed to meet the opposition, then we're not coming. But they did not do that. You could hear Magashule when he arrived. He said that we'll talk about it, which means they had not talked about it. The agenda was not certain. It was a meeting without an agenda on the side of the ANC, but on the side of ZANU PF, they were very, very ready. So this is why we ended up with the problem that we had today, where the ANC went to Zimbabwe and failed to achieve anything. So basically, the ANC is done in Zimbabwe. There's nothing else that they can do in Zimbabwe. SADC is done. AU is done. The only hope now for Zimbabwe is to go to the UN. But the question still arises. When you go to the UN, what do you say? What do you say the UN should come and intervene in Zimbabwe for? So there has to be something that is concrete that will make the UN come to Zimbabwe and intervene. Because at the moment, the stuff that is happening is at a local level. So you need something that is at a bigger level that is going to bring a body like the United Nations into Zimbabwe. Now, as I conclude, I just want to say that the situation now demands a solution from Zimbabweans. And that means Nelson Chamisa, who is the most popular person in Zimbabwe at the moment, this is agreed by everyone. If Nelson Chamisa is the most popular person in Zimbabwe, then he needs to bring all the other people behind him. And this is where he's been failing. Nelson Chamisa has been failing to unite the whole opposition behind him. His politics does not have solid people around him. If you look at the people that are around Nelson Chamisa, he cannot form a proper cabinet as you speak. He doesn't have enough people. So he needs to gather more people. He needs to work with more people. And he needs to start preparing for 2023. There's also the issue of how do you penetrate the government of Zimbabwe if you're outside. And it's clear that in 2023, Nelson Chamisa might lose the election. So what needs to be done now is for Chamisa to have a longer-term strategy, maybe a 10-year strategy, to slowly get into the Zimbabwe government, maybe even agree to a GNU, and then take it from there. And maybe when he's inside the GNU, he can start influencing what happens inside. Right, I'm just gonna end now, but I wanted to look at the comments that we have here. And I want to end with this comment here by Tandai Sanchez Musica. He says, we're on our own, ladies and gentlemen. And I think this sums everything up. The situation that has been happening over the past month, because I'm here in South Africa, I see everything. The guys in Zimbabwe, they come here and they go on the TV stations here in South Africa, and they think South Africans care. The South Africans don't care what happens in Zimbabwe. You need to make your own plan to make the situation in Zimbabwe work. And making Mnangagwa look bad, it will give you attention, but it won't change the situation in Zimbabwe. If you want the situation in Zimbabwe to change, you have to be organized. You have to have a political organization which is able to challenge Mnangagwa at the elections. Just like it was in 2018, Chamisa had built enough momentum to challenge Mnangagwa and get all those votes that he did. But what is happening now is that we no longer have that. We now have a weak opposition. And you can't win by making Mnangagwa look bad, which is what is the guy's been trying to do now. You come out and make some statements here and there, but it won't make changes. ZANU PF is not weak. You can see what they've done to the ANC. They've totally outsmarted them today. And imagine MDC trying to outsmart ZANU PF. If they can outsmart ANC like this, it's gonna be a very, very difficult situation. So I'm going to bring this to an end now. And tomorrow, I want us to talk about the soldier who was killed in Chivu. We've got information on that soldier and a bit more. So I want to reveal a bit more information about who he is. And then we'll take it from there, look at the motive of that attack and see why they attacked him. And then why the Zimbabwe government is not coming out with information. So that is tomorrow. And we also want to bring in a few guests to talk about what has happened today with the ANC delegations. So thank you very much for watching. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. Please like, comment, and share, and let's keep talking. If you want to join me in these conversations, you WhatsApp me on my number, and I'll invite you on StreamYard. You can actually be live on this kind of discussions that we're having. And as I said, we want to move to a 24-hour format by the 2023 elections. We want to be able to broadcast the elections for 24 hours. So we're making plans to get that to happen, and slowly it's coming together. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk again tomorrow.